Friday to you indeed. This is such a great day. Let me tell you, I love doing In the Loop with Greg. And you probably know this already. We have so much fun. But, today is also a big day because today's Earth Day. So happy Earth Day to you for wherever you're joining us from. I think a lot of people are, a lot of areas are celebrating all into the weekend. So wherever you are, welcome to Friday. It's great to have you here. We are here on In the Loop. For those of you who are unfamiliar with me, I am Winnie Sun, longtime financial pro, CNBC Council member, Forbes contributor, and host of Level Up, which can also be found on NASDAQ and a few other platforms. But as you know, I told you earlier, this is actually one of my absolutely favorite days because we have so much fun. And truth be told, you don't even know because it's behind the scenes. Before we even start the show, the conversation gets so much fun that we're like, oh my goodness, we need to start the show already because we're like literally having friend reunion on the back end. So hello. Welcome, Greg. How you doing?
I am doing good. Hello, Winnie, and hello, everybody who's joining us. Yeah, it is so good to be back doing this show. And as you said, we always have so much fun. And then it's like, okay, wrap it up. We got to go on air. And thank you to Curtis for making sure we're keeping track on that. But yeah, thank you, everybody. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Greg Nibbler, longtime tech reporter covering all kinds of different things in the world of tech. And I've got some updates we'll be talking about here in a little bit on the show. But the important thing is that you're all here and we're all here live right now. If you're watching afterward, that's fine too. But just joining in the conversation and being here, it's so great to always see so many friends joining into this show. And it's a lot of fun being here and learning about things together and having a good time. And that is what we are here for on this Friday. And I know we always start off with Winnie as well, filling us in on what's going on in the world of finances, which I can't even imagine what it's been like for you with everything going on in the world. I imagine you're very, very busy covering everything, but it's always great. It's always great to find out more about it.
It's always great, Greg. And it's all about keeping calm, right? Keeping calm. The financial markets this week certainly tested us. And I think that's sort of the theme I want to share with everybody. But, today's Earth Day. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Earth Day, it was actually established in 1970. And regardless of what you're doing, I'm curious for those of you who have been paying attention to this before we get into the markets are you doing anything special for Earth Day? Are you celebrating with your friends, going to go see a state or national park? I know a lot of people are doing that. And something that Greg and I will be talking about later too. I know you and I both went on separate trips not that long ago. So we're going to be sharing some of that footage with all of you because, we love to share our vacation or little trip pictures with you. But let's talk about the market. I was kind of I guess taking my time to get to the market. And you might be knowing why. If you read some of the headlines today, I'm not in that big of a hurry to talk to you about how the market closed, but I got to do it anyway because the Dow closed down, unfortunately, my friends, 981 points. That's right. You haven't heard me say it 900 something in a very long time, almost 1,000 points that the market was down. And the sad thing is that it wasn't like it got better. Literally, as it started closing, the market got worse down to the last minute. So actually it closed at almost at the entire day low. So Dow closed down 981 points. The NASDAQ closed down also 335 points. The S&P also down 121 points. So complete stock market tank today. But, we're not going to dwell on it because it's Friday, right? But I do want to tell you why. I mean, I think it's important for us to understand so that way you can keep this on your radar. And also you can be really smart about the financial decisions in your life because I think there are lessons to be learned here. And I also think there are some long-term opportunities as well. Maybe not right away, but I think it should be on your radar. First off, investors and traders now are very concerned about a couple things, right? Certainly corporate earnings right now, which is we're in earnings season. We saw the bad news coming out of Netflix. Also, rising interest rates. Now, as you know, inflation rates hit a historical high last month, right? 8.5% on consumer price index. But the thing is, the government is going to be doing something about it. So the Fed's expected to raise interest rates by 0.5% this month and another 0.5% next month. So we're not sure where that's going to be. So you can't forget also the infamous pandemic, which just seems to be getting crazier. And of course, ongoing inflation woes too. Now, one thing that I want to share with you too, because there's been a lot of news. I know, Greg, you just got back on travel. We were talking about this before we started on air today about how you just flew back, right? You just flew back to Portland.
Yeah. I just got back. I got back over this last weekend, but yeah, just made it back.
Just made it back. Well, we're
Yeah.
glad you're back because a lot,
Yeah.
guys, we know a lot of crazy stuff's been happening in the
Yeah.
world of travel, right?
There
Um,
has.
yeah, and I know many of you already saw, obviously there was a big case, and now masking is optional on the planes and whatnot. But what's interesting about today is the United Airlines CEO, as well as many other airlines, are actually making different announcements. And I wanted to put this on your radar because United CEO said today that they're actually going to be offering credits or refunds to passengers who don't want to fly because of the mask mandate. There are a lot of people still out there, certainly a lot of parents who have kids under the age of 5 who are not able to vaccinate yet, and immune compromised individuals, or people just don't feel good. You don't even have to have a reason. So I thought it was really interesting because here you have an airline saying that we're actually going to let you get a refund or credit. So I want to make sure that's on your radar if you're listening to this and you're concerned. That's something to be paying attention to. The other thing is we're seeing that pretty much all the major airlines, we're talking Delta, United, American, Southwest, and I think there's others as well. They're saying that travelers who were once banned from one of the major airlines because they were violating the federal mask mandate, they're actually going to be allowed to fly soon. So they're saying unless you were like a complete crazy person, we actually might let you fly again, even though you weren't following the rules from before. And I thought that was a really interesting um, announcement today on travel because it's like kind of there. I'm not really sure what to make of it, to be honest with you. But I think it's for those of you who are planning travel now that we're in spring and into summer and maybe later on, this is something to keep in mind as well. So they're saying that over the last 2 years, and this is in particular, I thought I'd bring this up because Alaska Airlines, I know it's been a very popular airline. They said that for those who were banned because of non-compliance and masking, they're going to allow them to purchase tickets and fly the airline once again. And they're actually saying the past 2 years, they actually banned 1,700 or more guests from failing their mask policy and not agreeing to the rules. So I'm curious to see, Greg, how does that make you feel? Like people who didn't really follow rules, but now they're going to be able to fly again. Like I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, everything's happened so fast, since that ruling in Florida, just earlier this week. I mean, it was just this week.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that kind of interesting about how each airline is handling it a little bit differently,
Mm-hmm.
and how I mean, United giving refunds, that actually seems that's a pretty good move in my mind. How do I feel about people who are banned now being back on? I mean, I know that's a loaded, controversial question.
Yeah, that's true.
That for people, but for myself, I'm like, you violated the rules. I mean, I guess maybe not in perpetuity, although
Mm-hmm.
the people who went crazy, I don't,
I hope they don't get back on.
yeah, exactly. If you started throwing fits and shoving people or hit somebody, I think you lose your right to fly. I'm completely fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for everybody else, I don't know. I mean, I always like to just follow what the science is,
Yeah.
and I know that changes constantly. So it's such a hard thing to really wrap your head around. I think a lot of it is going to be, we're all going to have to wait and see what
We'll have to wait
happens.
to see. I'm agreeing with you that too, for sure, Greg. I think, we all want to get back to normal, but
Yeah.
who knows? We don't know. We're not scientists or doctors.
Yeah.
So, but one thing
Exactly.
there is one area that I think, Greg, that you're definitely going to be, you're going to have an opinion on. And this is, I think, an area that you probably know a lot better about. And this is on Netflix, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we heard about Netflix's unfortunately disappointing subscribership number, right? So they currently have about 222 million subscribers. And they're estimating actually about 100 million of those people actually share passwords, right? With other people outside the household. They're saying about half of the people like share passwords. Right? I don't think this is such a stretch, right? I think that's something that we know, that is going on. But what's interesting about this is, what are they going to do about it? And is this going to impact all the other streaming services? And from what I'm gathering, what I'm reading, I suspect it will, because Netflix is saying that they're actually going to really clamp down on this because they feel like they're not getting more subscribers. It's obviously impacting shareholder value. And so wanted to answer the question of what is Netflix going to be doing about password sharing, right? So we do know that they're definitely going to make impact here. And this is probably going to affect your Disney Plus account and your Hulu and your HBO Max and everything else that you have too, because they're saying Netflix is already testing ways to curb password sharing. They're doing this in the Latin American markets as well, testing this. So what they're going to do is, if they find that you're sharing your password outside of your household, which I guess they can do, right, Greg? Because they can tell from which, what is it called, when they can tell
Yeah, your IP address.
IP
I'm sure they
address,
have
right?
ways. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're going to automatically, I guess, start charging you maybe $2 or $3 or more a month if they see that you're sharing your password to someone in a different IP address.
Yeah. See, I don't think this is a good idea just on Netflix's account, because the other thing too is they just lost subscribers for the first time. I think it was like, I may have the number a little bit off, but around 200,000 just this year alone. So they're losing subscribers for the first time. The competition is really fierce now in streaming. I mean, they used to be the place to go to, and I think by far they still have the most subscribers. But now you have really good content from HBO Max, really good Disney Plus. You've got Apple TV Plus, which actually has had some really great shows that have come out on it. Hulu, all these other competitors, and if they don't follow suit, I think that's going to negatively hurt Netflix if they start cracking down on this. Maybe at the bottom line, it pays off for them, but certainly just nobody likes the idea of not being able to share a password with somebody else. And I get it. You can probably look at that a few different ways from the corporate side, I can see. But at the same time, if that's keeping people subscribed and keeping that goodwill with everybody, I think you let it go. But I am not on the board at Netflix, so I don't know exactly where they're looking at it from that standpoint, but I can't think that's going to help bring up subscriber numbers by doing
Right.
that. Somebody who's been sharing a password isn't going to be like, all right, you got me, now I'll subscribe. I think they're just going to go away.
Yeah, I think the penalty is not a good thing. You don't want to
Yeah.
offend your subscriber, right? Why not just like tack on an extra $2 a month, let's just say, right, for your overall package, and because I remember when, Amazon Prime first started out and you were able to share your Amazon Prime with like two other friends of yours, right?
Yeah.
It felt good. You felt like you were doing something for those who you really cared about. And maybe you do something like that where it's going to happen. You allow it, maybe give people two allowances or whatnot, and you just tack on an extra $2 a month, and then you can let people decide. But I do think like I'm with you. I think the penalty concept is it's not a pretty thing.
It's not a good PR move, that's for
Yeah.
sure, on that side of things. Maybe at the bottom line, that's what they're looking at, and maybe there's other services are looking to do this too, because if they all do it, then I think it's more detrimental to the overall streaming market. But if they all do that, then it is beneficial. But it's heavy competition right now between all of them to get those dollars, because it does add up, all these different services with all these different shows and all these different platforms. And that's kind of why people share their passwords a little bit, to spread that out.
Absolutely. I'm with you there. Well, Greg, I want to take a moment because I see so many wonderful friends joining us today. I see Sadiq joining us on YouTube Live, CrossXFire Joshua on YouTube Live, Kenna, so great to see you on Facebook Live. Absolutely. We're big fans of Curtis here, and so many others that are here as well. Greg, I don't know. Is this a good time to share my vacation? Because I wanted to share some pictures with you, because I was thinking to myself when I was taking some pictures, I'm like, Greg is actually really going to number one, he's really going to geek out about some of the things I'm going to share with you. And it's going to share, I don't know, maybe you'll enjoy it. But so recently, Greg, I took the family. We went to Sedona in Arizona, and it was a road trip, of course. And as you know, it's one of the most beautiful national parks out there. You can drive to the Grand Canyon from there, which we didn't this trip, but there's so many amazing state parks there. And I want to share with you some of the photos. Now, there's one sort of on top that you can see. There's do you see that white wolf there?
Yeah.
Okay.
You saw some wolves while you were there?
Yeah. So this is so cool. It's in Arizona. It's called Bearzona. Okay. So what you do is you pay and you drive your car through this place called Bearzona. And it's not just this white wolf, but literally, I don't know if you can see below, there's a bear, and there's so many bears. You're just walking around, you're driving through. It was super, super cool. So that's one thing. The other thing is we went to the Natural Petrified Forest National Park thing. Have you heard of this?
I've been down to Sedona, but I don't know if I've heard of this, a national petrified forest.
Petrified Forest. It's crazy. I guess it's a federal national park, right? And it's incredible. You go there and literally the park is like all petrified wood everywhere. It's crazy. We also went to
Cool.
this area near Flagstaff where there's all these like lava mines. It was so amazing. So we went to historic Route 66. We saw the town that inspired the sort of Cars franchise, like Radiator Springs, right? And yeah, all that sort of
Cool. Yeah.
Cars, like the McQueen, pictures of him. It was really cool. So this the pictures of the hotel room I want to point out to you because a lot of people actually message me and ask me, like, where do you stay? Where you go? Well, take into account that obviously I travel with my husband and my 3 kids, so we do like some of the creature comforts, makes our life a little bit easier. So I typically try to find hotel rooms that actually have a kitchen because this is a great way when you've got 3 hungry kids where you can really stretch your budget, right? So we usually cook on our trips, and I'll pack sandwiches or like easy, simple lunches when we go out and about. It just makes our life a lot easier. So we stayed at the amazing Hyatt Residence Club in Sedona. So if you haven't been there, highly recommend it. It's also, in my opinion, one of the best values that you can find within driving distance of Southern California, surely. But the thing that I thought was really interesting too, which I want to put on your financial radar, is this. So as soon as we crossed the border from California to Arizona, gas prices dropped by more than $1 a gallon. It was pretty significant. Yeah. So this Hyatt Residence Club, amazing. It comes with like full kitchen, full laundry in the little tiny, not tiny, it's a pretty big suite, but they have amazing pool where you get this whole view of the Sedona Red Rock, skyline. It's absolutely incredible. So if you're looking for something relaxing but cost effective, this is a place that I think that everybody should consider. I don't know. It's look at that. Look at the pool. The pool's amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking at that pool right now. That's exactly what I would like to be in right now. I mean, the combination of that, which the hotel sounds amazing, and you get to go out and see the outdoors and see all those natural monuments and everything else that you can do around there. That is a really cool combo. I mean, Sedona, like you said, it's beautiful. I've only been there once, but so amazing. Such an amazing place.
Amazing. It's so relaxing, right, Greg?
Yeah,
it
it does. It's
you.
very calming. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very
We went fishing. It was crazy. I mean, it was. I was like challenge. I'm like, Greg would love this. All
yes.
this like, fishing and hike. We did tons of hiking. One with nature. Definitely embracing the whole Earth Day concept, Greg.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm a fan of anything outdoors. I always can't wait to get out and go camping or go exploring or do something outdoors. I'm actually going to be going down to probably later on next month, going down to California and maybe going to Joshua Tree, which I've never been to before. So seeing some other national parks and getting, I imagine it's going to be very hot. So I don't think I'll do a lot of hiking necessarily, but we'll see. We'll see what the weather's like. But yeah, just going.
It's a really good one. You don't have to hike that far. Everything's actually really close.
Okay, cool. That is good. I'll have to get some tips from you before heading down there. That's amazing, Whitney. Yeah, that looks so cool. A good road trip on top of it.
That's awesome. I want to hear about your trip. So tell me, jump in.
I don't have as many pictures from mine, but I did want to show something that I thought you would like. And I know we talked a little bit about on Twitter when I was doing this. So I went down and visited my brother. He's down in Carlsbad, Oceanside, San Diego area, that part of California. I was down there for a few days. And one of the things that we did was we had a Japanese hot pot, which I had not had before. And I was scolded on Twitter for having not done this before. And I realized the error of my ways. I'm well aware. So everybody has messaged me saying, how dare you have not tried this? I've tried it now. So this was at home. This is my brother and his kit that he had there at home to do this. And it was so good. So good. So those are all, we're not at a restaurant here. And this is my filming, by the way. So I'm not a professional food photographer, as I was told that I probably shouldn't have been doing that. Whatever I was doing. Yeah, I'm dipping my spoon in there. But I just wanted to show some of the ingredients that we had. We had all this, it was just amazing. It was so good. And now I can't wait to get one of these myself.
You do? Okay. So
Yeah,
I'm loving this, Greg. So I'm gonna tell you, like, yeah, we do this at home quite frequently. I will tell you, I'm actually gonna make a hot pot shopping list for you because you gotta do a legit
please.
way. You gotta get a ziragushi. I mean, like it's either ziragushi or nothing. It has to be the right hot pot. And
Okay.
I will make a whole hot pot list for you. And yeah, and I told you about my peanut butter secret. So for those of you who
Yes.
are watching, and I love this comment. Joshua said, "Joshua Tree. There's a tree named after me. Joshua, there's a whole national park named after you." Um, but yeah, so but my tip to you this now I know it's not traditional. In the hot pots, there's like obviously Chinese hot pot restaurants. There's Japanese hot pot, Korean as well. But next time if you go to a hot pot restaurant, just try this. It sounds crazy. Just bring a Ziploc bag or whatever. Bring like maybe a couple tablespoons of peanut butter and like
Okay.
literally put it in your dipping sauce. It's like next level. Your life
I
will change.
am I'm all about the peanut butter. So
Peanut butter.
that would be great.
So
Yeah, I
good.
definitely am would will be doing that. So I just my own little bag of peanut butter that I'll bring along.
I know, guys, send you a pack. I have like these little travel packs. I'm telling you, it's like so awesome.
That
Yeah.
is cool. Yeah, well, it was fun, and I got to sit out in the sun a little bit, and here in the Northwest, it's been crazy weather, so it was very relaxing to be in a 70 degrees every day, just a little bit of clouds in the sky, and there's a pool. I could kind of get used to that, so it was a good
Welcome to
little trip.
Southern California.
Yeah, I know. I get it now. I get it. So it was a lot of fun. But yeah, that was just a quick trip down there. So did that, and yeah, excited to share some more travels here as we go into the summer too. We've got a few things lined up. So definitely we'll be taking some advice on all of that. We do have some tech news though. If we want to talk about a little bit about what's been going on
Yeah.
over the last couple of weeks. So the first one I wanted to talk about is actually Twitter. What is going on with Twitter?
Do
And
tell.
I mean, there's a lot. Obviously, we know about the Elon Musk situation, where Elon Musk is attempting to purchase Twitter. There's a lot of things that are coming out. He claims that he has secured the funding for it. The board did the poison pill thing to try to keep him away from doing that. So there's a lot that's going to be happening, I think, over these next, I don't know, weeks or months as we
Mhm.
figure out if that sale's actually going to go through. It's definitely a big deal, but I feel like it's already having an effect to some degree on Twitter itself, just
Mhm.
as far as the operation. And they're going to say that they were working on all this beforehand, and I'm sure they were, but there are some updates coming to Twitter. There are some changes. And that's one of the things that Elon Musk said that he's a big advocate of are changes. One of those being the edit button. And it does
Yay.
appear we're going to be getting an edit button. So that's I've been a big advocate of that too. Like
Mhm.
because my thumbs have ruined so many tweets where I misspell something or tag the wrong thing, and then it's either do you delete the whole thing and start all over again because after it gets shared a few times, you don't want to do that. But this is a way to maybe get around that. So we're not exactly sure how it's going to go work, but we do have some ideas of how they're going to test it out. So the idea would be once you post something, you would be able to not necessarily amend that tweet, but it would post a new tweet on the top of it and then have a note on there that says this was edited. And it would
Oh,
allow you to still see what the previous tweet was. So it doesn't like send out a new one. It just pastes it over the top of it, but it doesn't delete the old one either. And I think that's a really important part of it because not necessarily for, my tweets, my stupid thumb things, but if you think about politicians or anybody who's making a very big statement on there, because these are kind of official statements that can be taken as that for people, you don't want them to go back through and change it later on and be like, oh, that's not what I said. See, here it is. So you would still be able to see the history of what was actually posted. So that's one concept that they're working on right now on how that would work. And then another part of it is maybe a time limit. So the proposed time limit right now would be 1 hour. So you can't wait a few days, but you'd get an hour to go back in and make a change to it. What do you think about the time limit? How long do you think people should have?
well, that's interesting, Greg. That's really
Yeah.
interesting because when I heard about the edit button, to be honest with you, I thought it was going to be like, on Facebook or LinkedIn, we could literally just edit and then just call it a day and nobody would know, right? But it's
Yeah.
really interesting because you're right. I mean, this is Twitter is a different culture altogether. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like the 1 hour edit, I guess that makes sense, right? Because you're right. Because if someone um like did something really bad a few months ago, right, and they want to go back and now make it pretend like it never happened, then how
Yeah.
can you trust that the content that was shared on Twitter was still timely, and relevant and honest, right? So yeah, I
Yeah.
guess the 1 hour thing makes a lot of sense. It kind of like, I don't know if you have Twitter Blue, but Twitter Blue allows you to sort of edit before it goes live. You usually have like a few seconds, and
Yeah.
that I've found that to be actually helpful to avoid some of my multiple typos. But yeah, I think that's good
Yeah.
because Twitter is sort of a news source for so many of us, right?
It is. It's a news source, and I mean, that's a lot of what I use it for is following the news, but especially when we get into political season and
Hmm.
politicians or official statements from agencies, you want to know what it was. I guess they can always delete something, but it's still going to be there, and this is at least shows what the edit was and maybe why they made it. So that's one concept behind it. Twitter Blue users are supposedly going to be the first people to get to try this out too. So you're going to be one of the ones who get to test it out, see how it works. And we don't know when that's going to roll out yet. And we don't know all the details, but that's how it's looking. So anybody too who wants to comment on that, I always want to know what people think about an edit button and whether you're for it, against it, or once you post it, that's it. That's what it should be. We'll have to see. Yeah, there's kind of an idea. So this is from some of these. That's from Nima Algi. Yes. So there's some really great people on Twitter who reverse engineer different updates that Twitter does. And so they can see a little bit more about what's going on. And this is kind of an example of how that might work. So you'd have that drop down button where you edit it and then you say update. And then you would have that update that would go on there. And then, it would have kind of a link back to what it was before over the top of it. So you've got that as one of the things. And there's another thing that's going to be coming out that Twitter's going to be testing too. And this just came out today, where it's going to be this is at least as far as the code name of it, this isn't officially from Twitter. This is from Twitter insiders, if you will, and reverse engineers, something called Vibe, where you can now post how you're feeling along with your tweet. So it's a very Facebook-esque kind of thing as far as I'm concerned. Like, I'm feeling excited or feeling hungry or feeling that kind of thing. Yeah. And so, yeah, right. So they've got a couple of them here. I'm just kind of reading them to get, it would be like setting a status while you're doing it. It could
Oh,
be,
eating yummy ramen. I like that all
yeah,
day long.
right. So you'd have these different kinds of ones that you can post along with there, I guess, to accent the tweet. I don't know. For me, Twitter isn't, I don't know if that would necessarily add
Yeah.
to it. I mean, I don't
No.
really care, but I don't know if it would add anything for me.
Yeah, I feel like this is just taking up bandwidth. I'm not sure this is
Yeah.
really bringing value. Like,
Right.
yeah, like the last one you said, the edit button, I like that quite a bit. But you're right. This is, I feel like the thing that many of us like on Twitter. I'm curious to see. Crossex Fighter is saying, obviously he loves the edit button. But I'm curious to see those of you who are active on Twitter, right? Um, I feel like the thing I like about Twitter is that you don't have as much fluff. So I feel like
Yeah.
these vibes are kind of fluffy. They might not add to the value.
Totally. That's how I feel about it too. I mean, if you want that kind of experience, you can get it from Facebook or Instagram or
Mhm.
a lot of other ones. Yeah, Twitter is just info.
That's a
I
good
mean,
point.
some pictures and video, sure, added on there, but I don't know if I need the rest of that. You're already
Yeah.
getting that other places. So we'll have to see. I mean, they always try things out for a little bit to see how it works out, but it does seem to me that there's a lot more of this coming out right now with some of the news about Elon and his bid. So maybe there will be more coming here in the next few weeks or months as they test out some of these different ideas on there. And again, these ones aren't official yet, but it's enough insiders that it looks like they're at least talking about it, that could be something. They could have also put this information out just to see what reaction would be and then say, oh, no, we weren't thinking about that. What are you talking about? That's crazy.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point, Greg.
Yeah.
I guess you would know because I think because you follow so many tech companies, right? And there's all these rumors coming out. That's such a good perspective, Greg. Thank you for
You always
sharing.
got to wonder if it's an actual, like somebody leaked this information out, or was it just, let's put that out there. And then if people like it, we'll be like, oh yeah, we did that. You always got to see. It's always, that's the same thing with phones is one of the main ones where I learned that lesson. Cause you have iPhone, Apple, they definitely do not want their stuff leaked by all accounts. But Google, they'll kind of throw some things out there. Just be like, oh, well, what do you know? A picture showed up and then kind of get reactions on it. So it could be a little bit of gamesmanship going on there, but we'll have to see what happens. So yeah, definitely let us know. And if you have an idea of a Twitter feature you would like to see, I would love to hear what people would like to see in the comments. So that's kind of been a big dominating story over the last couple of weeks. And I think it will be going forward. But I do have a couple of other things, just some random stuff here for a Friday to bring up. You know, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up a robot. And I feel like I need
we would
to
be
do that.
disappointed if
Right?
you didn't bring up a robot.
You might still be disappointed in this one. It's a kind of a creepy one. It's a creepy looking robot, but with a good intention. So this comes from a Chinese institute, and they have created a robotic rat. So it is based upon a rat, the build of it and everything. They even add the tail in. I don't know if the tail's necessary for the robot, but nonetheless, to give it the whole image. And there's a reason behind this. And the idea is for search and rescue, for one thing, because you could send this in just like an actual rat. They can get through all kinds of different spaces and all kinds of different areas. You could send these in to, say, rubble, or if there was an earthquake, and they could do a lot more searching and get in places. They even have the idea that you would have a bigger robot that would come and drop off all of the rat robots, which, saying that out loud now does sound like a nightmare. The rat robot carrier that shows up. But yeah, it's because of the movements of an actual rat. That's why they based it upon that, and the mechanics of what it can do and getting into small places. So I like the one that fell on its side up there.
It doesn't look very strong.
Yeah, I know. I'm not worried about, but it picks itself back up. See, and then it gets scary again. But so looking at it from research or from that standpoint of rescue. And the other thing they were looking at is actually for helping to develop smart cities. I just saw a question come in. Is that a robot rat? That is a robot rat to verify.
And Carlos, it's great to have you with us. Thanks so much for joining us. He's from our Twitter chat community.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like this is not that strong. What if it just, you were saying goes to like these like natural disaster places and then gets stepped on or a brick falls on it?
I mean, I guess it's small enough that it wouldn't matter. They said that you can actually 3D print these, and it takes about a week for most of the parts are 3D printed. So you can customize it to whatever you want. I mean, this is just a prototype right now. But the smart city side of things, I thought that was actually kind of cool because, again, much like real rats, they would send these down into pipes, into different areas that maybe where the infrastructure could be vulnerable, to check for leaks, to see how things are actually working, and use that to help develop smart cities. So it's using a smart rat robot to develop your smart city. So something else that does seem like it would have a really good use case to be able to send that in there if it's got all the different sensors on it. But yeah, that's something that's in development right now. So they shared that via IEEE earlier this week or last week. And so a rat robot.
A rat robot. I feel like there's some opportunity, Greg, here. I'm feeling like, maybe if this thing goes around your house, checks for cracks in your house, if it finds spiders and whatnot, it could zap them. I mean, like, this would be cool, right? Because I saw Elon Musk had an announcement today talking about how his new robot, he thinks his new robot's going to be more valuable to us in his cars. So I think like this is cool. I mean, like maybe we can all 3D print our own robots, Greg. I mean, that'd be pretty cool.
I think that's on the way. I think that's something that's going to be happening in the future. And it is kind of cool, just especially with all the universities and Elon Musk and big companies too, experimenting with different kinds of robotics and seeing what you can do with them and how they can actually help out people. So if this does help with search and rescue, I think that's great. It's just, it's a little unnerving at first when you see a robotic rat coming at you.
Yeah, that is a little just sort of like, you're just like looking around like, what if this is in the house?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I would have a tough time not. That would be unnerving. It would be unnerving for me at first. So there you go. So there was a robotic rat, and then I had this is so weird saying it out loud. Then the other thing that I had for this week was another thing that I thought was pretty cool. It has to do with space travel. It has to do with the International Space Station and some images that came out from the European Space Agency, which works with NASA and everybody else. And it's the idea of sending somebody holographically to another place, and it'll seem like they're in 3D. So this is an image right there. So that is a doctor and his team, and they are not there. I mean, you can tell it's a little bit wavy, but they are not there in the International Space Station. They are on Earth, but they were beamed up in real time using a Microsoft holokinetic camera that gives kind of a 3D scan of everybody. And then you wear a HoloLens and it recreates people right there in real time, right in front of you. So that is from the viewpoint of an astronaut who actually posted this picture and shows what he saw. And then they also saw him in their lab at the same time. So it's a really fascinating way for communication. And part of what they're looking at for it, you know, in addition to just giving somebody a little bit more of a feel for someone actually being there, an actual connection to someone, is if, say, there's, for the space station in particular, there's all that very, very advanced equipment on there. And sometimes really only the people who design it know the ins and outs of that. There's no way everybody can know everything. And so if there's an issue, you could have the actual designer of this holographically be right there next to the astronaut, working with it on them while they're still on the ground and guiding people through something. So that was one of the ideas behind this.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's almost like I feel like we've seen that in like Star Trek and Star Wars. You know, I feel like they're just
totally. Yeah, it's very Star Trek sci-fi. It's not quite Princess Leia coming out of R2-D2 yet. It's not that far off either from that. So yeah, they're saying, you know, for the help of that thing and also for extended space travel, you could think about another way. This would be a way to actually help people who are so isolated out in space for long periods of time. You know, say it's months. You could have somebody beam up there and feel like you're with someone and actually experiencing that. So it might help out for mental health and mental well-being.
Totally. I mean, I feel like since we know, Greg, for the last couple of years, we've been talking about the pandemic and, you know, it doesn't seem like it's going away anytime soon. It does seem like we need to start thinking about this sort of technology for like that next phase, right? Because there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of people who I think like are elderly, right? Or even in homes or whatnot, or hospice, and they're just missing that human component. And maybe they have family members in another state or another city. And it just, like you said, it would just feel like you're together and it's a lot more efficient to when you can't, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, eventually you could see everybody having one of these in their homes and communicating that way, whether it's this technology or something else. We see that a lot with VR and the metaverse, but this is just another example of where that could go. And yeah, that was a European Space Agency that was working on that. I saw Sadiq post that in there. So yeah, kind of cool though. Kind of an interesting use of tech. And I always like taking a look at where things are going and what the possibilities could be. It's not quite a Star Trek holodeck yet. That's a nerd comment, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
You know, Greg, I thought of something I wanted to tell you too. So we took our son to the orthodontist yesterday, and he was greeted by a robot. And
really?
And so they had this robot, which is a really simple tablet. I should have sent a picture, but a simple tablet and robot, and the robot will tell the child which room to go to. So it's like a greeting robot, and so it would know who came in. Yeah, so it actually
that's cool.
They just I guess the orthodontist just picked it up and they just programmed it this week. And my son said it was the cutest thing that there was this robot and it would talk to him and tell him like where to go.
That's awesome. Yeah. And that's cool that, you know, the kids enjoy it too, you know, that they're excited about that. Yeah. That's a really cool example of where that's going, you know, to help out with things like that. So robots are happening. Robots are on the way.
That's right, Carlos. I'm going to show Carlos. I'm going to make sure I get a picture of it next time so I can share it with Greg on the air so you can see. But I thought that was cool. And actually, when I heard that, I was like, wow, I wonder if our office could use a robot. You know, that could be super cool. Like, because I know, Greg, you've shown it to us, different robots in the restaurants scene and everything. But I think professional services, especially since it's right now in the period of COVID, I think a lot of medical professionals are thinking about how they can utilize robotics more, right?
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of research into that for hospitals and for doctors also to remotely be able to treat patients in different ways, that both with like telepresence in whatever form that is, whether it's through robotics or whether it's through holograms or however else you want to do it through the metaverse. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways that they're looking at that. It's really cool seeing some of them, especially if they help treat more people and keep people safer at the same time. Maybe give them a little bit more comfort. So yeah, always fun stuff to learn about that. But that's really cool that you have one at the dentist's office. That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, and it gave me some thought. I mean, the nice thing about a robot is like it doesn't have mood swings, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
exhale. I mean, I was thinking, like, goodness, wouldn't that work really well on a flight, right? Serving drinks up and down the aisle.
Yeah. Yeah. A little service robot. Yeah. Popping out some drinks. Yeah. I'm down with that. I'll try that
me
out.
too. That'd be
Yeah.
super cool.
Yeah. Well, I'll see. I'm sure we'll have lots more examples here coming up on every show, because there's always going to be more and more of this coming out to talk about here on The Loop. And yeah.
And next week we're doing we're going back to our regular Wednesday next week.
Yes.
So that'll be fun. And I know, Greg, you have a whole bunch to share with us next week. So I'm looking forward to it.
Lots. Yeah. And I think we might talk a little bit about too what to watch, because we haven't done one of those in a while.
I haven't.
There's some suggestions.
Yeah.
On what people can watch. I've got some good ideas for that. But lots of tech and lots of updates. And it's always, like we say, it's so great to be here with everybody, and just really appreciate everybody who joins in the conversation, whether it's your first time or you've been here the whole way, whatever it is. Thank you. Thanks for being a part of this.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. And it's so fun. It's such a fun show. And we hope that you enjoy as much as we do. And like Greg said, next week, he's going to talk to us about what shows we should be watching. I'm going to do as well. So if those of you, Sadiq, Carlos, I know a lot of you have things that you really enjoy watching. If there's something on your radar that you think we should be paying attention to, definitely send us a direct message. And we would love to hear what is on your radar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, please do anytime. All right. Well, I think that's it for this week. Everybody have a great weekend too. It is Friday, whenever it is that you're watching, but it's Friday right now. And yeah, I think that's about it.
And that's a wrap. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.